In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, I want to make it abundantly clear from the outset. This is not an attack on Roman Catholics. Roman Catholics are very fine and decent people, and there's lots of wonderful people that I've met who are Roman Catholic. This is not an attack on them. This is a criticism of what I see currently happening in Catholicism, especially as it relates to the numerous people that contact me on a regular basis that are struggling with their faith in the Catholic Church, and the consistent themes that I see coming up and the criticisms of what is actually happening there. Okay? So, the thing that stands out to me probably most is that it is an occult-like atmosphere. People are ingrained and indoctrinated from a young age that they do not have the freedom to ever leave the Catholic Church. So they are systematically taught that anything that they see, experience, or happen is no reflection on the truthfulness of the quote-unquote church. Obviously, as an Orthodox Christian, Roman Catholicism is not a church. There is one Holy Catholic and Apostolic Church that is going back to the Eastern Patriarchs for 2,000 years. So, I constantly am counseling people who are Catholic, who want to become Orthodox, or even people just who contact me and want to talk with me about deep feelings of guilt and shame. This is such a prevalent experience that it has even garnered the terminology Catholic guilt. That same guilt does not exist in Orthodoxy. This is a unique psychological phenomenon where people constantly feel like they're dealing with a kind of stepfather God. That's what I notice in the language. They begin to describe their relationship with God as though he is perpetually either angry with them, or on the verge of disciplining or getting angry with them. And they are so afraid of God in an unhealthy and an unnatural way that they don't seem to be able to develop much love or intimacy with him. And so everything becomes very twisted in their relationship because it's not about pleasing God or loving God or being loved by God or being a child of God. Everything is about keeping the belt from hitting them. And that is a psychological illness that is not like one or two people that I've met that's Roman Catholic. This is so prevalent that it happens in basically every conversation that I have with somebody who's been raised in Roman Catholicism. This is a systematic way of seeing God that is so perverse that people are not able to draw near to him with real love and intimacy, but they feel this compulsion out of fear and uncertainty. And so it becomes to the point where they have this kind of no questioning policy. They're not allowed to see anything in the church, quote unquote church, that is beyond questioning. They're forced to kind of see everything through this model of everything is perfect. It's you that is imperfect. And if you see something that doesn't add up, that's on you. That's not on the Catholic Church. This is a cult-like atmosphere. And you can see that people's minds are kind of put in a distorted twisting because they have to ignore all of the things that don't add up and don't make sense, and this very distorted relationship with God that they don't even want this relationship with God because God is so foreign and alien to them. There's such a lack of love and intimacy there. Hi friends, thanks for tuning into the channel. Please like and subscribe. And if you want to see more content, go to school.com/Father Moses. We have a weekly Q&A, a marriage course, and a dating course, and new courses coming out each month. God bless. Next, the abuse. And this is a big one. It's actually been going on much, much longer than is currently reported on. You can go back and Google this and find all the information on it. But just since 1950, in the last 80 years, there were over 655,000 victims in France and Spain alone. These are predominantly children. The systematic cover-ups are numerous. They did a grand jury inquiry in Pennsylvania on it, and that's what they called it. Systematic was the way in which predators were being hidden and moved from diocese to diocese. We don't even know what the numbers are in South America because South America has basically, in many ways, turned a blind eye to it. But in countries like Ireland and in North America, the abuse is so prevalent that they say even right now, currently, there are 1,700 unsupervised priests that nobody really knows what they're doing or even really what they're up to. When you start to see these numbers, we're talking, a million plus easily cases worldwide. When somebody says, oh, the gates of Hades will not prevail against the Roman Catholic Church, I don't know what prevail would mean then. Because if people are caught and then hidden and then covered up and then sent somewhere else, and then bishops will not even release the names of those who've been accused. And then on top of it, we all know that with abuse cases, there are a huge percentage of which that go undocumented. People do not even bring them up. And so you have bishops a day, for instance, recently in the news, Cordileone in San Francisco, who will not release the names of those in the diocese who've been accused of misconduct. Furthermore, I know from people firsthand who have reported these things to their diocese that the diocese basically just ignored them. So these figures are not even accurate because people will go into and have these things happen and then the paperwork gets lost or it doesn't get reported or somebody just mysteriously moves to the other side of the country into a different diocese and is never even addressed. This happens with children. I know this even happens with adults and women who report that they've had misconduct at the hands of a priest, and it just doesn't even get addressed. This is so exceptionally terrifying that as a father of 5 sons, the only thing I can say is, if it's this prevalent and widespread and unreported, you are definitely endangering your children by putting them in these environments. Next, the relativism. Well, we've seen these modern Catholic debates regarding the God of the Muslims, and that somehow the God of the Muslims, although that God is not Trinitarian, is somehow the same God of the Roman Catholics. If we could go back and talk to the early Christian martyrs, how aghast would they be that anyone was teaching anything other than the supremacy of the Holy Trinity? And not that we are just one religion among many, and that all religions kind of have this thinly veiled, sheet where we're all kind of worshiping a similar God, but that the idea is that we are distinct in our Christianity, our love for Christ. God became incarnate. That separates us from everyone else. Our Trinitarian beliefs are not Judeo-Christian because the God of the Old Testament was still the Trinity. Anyone who denies the Trinity denies God. And in fact, the Pope recently, in the last 3 days ago at the publishing of this video, just sent out a warm welcome or greeting to the Hindus. Who are the Hindu gods? We know that they're demons. They're not the Trinity. They're not God. They are evil spirits. These countries are in bondage to this evil, and then the Pope is wishing people congratulations on their time of year where they're celebrating basically a form of paganism. Christians never, ever thought like this. This is so foreign to Christianity that I would say anyone who teaches this type of relativism is clearly not a Christian. They do not uphold the Nicene Creed. It states very clearly, we believe in one God. One God. That God is Trinitarian. Anything that deviates or teaches something other than that is not God. And as Christ said, there are only 2 masters in this world, God and the devil. That is it. So those who are not worshiping the Trinity although they may be ignorant or in error or raised in those societies or whatever else, are not worshiping God. They're worshiping evil spirits. This relativism should be an absolute red flag for any Roman Catholic who takes their faith and their love for God seriously. And last but not least, because we can't leave him off the list, the Pope. There was a funny joke recently when the new Pope was elected, and it says Catholics are running to their computers to find out if he's Roman Catholic or not. What do they mean? Well, there's so much widespread heresy within the Catholic Church that even the very bishops themselves espouse these beliefs regarding other religions that are not Christian beliefs. The fact that the current Pope greeted and welcomed the Hindus on their holiday to the demons should tell you everything you know about this position. It has usurped the understanding of conciliatory. Where is this now today? In the early church, we had councils with bishops, with patriarchs, with priests, with deacons, and those relationships were conciliatory. They worked together under the guidance of the Holy Spirit to come to an understanding of what it was that God was transmitting to us, what it was that we needed to hear. The idea that the Nicene Creed can be added to or modified with a filioque 600 years later by the Pope is not a sin of theology. This is a sin against the Holy Spirit. This is saying that the Nicene Creed was lacking something that the Holy Spirit did not reveal to the church and that needed to be amended and ratified later. If you do that, then you cast doubt over all of the ecumenical councils and their truthfulness. Your problem then does not just become theological, it becomes existential. God is failing to reveal to the people that which they need to know for their salvation, for the journey of salvation. And since it's all located in one person now, and that person is not Jesus Christ, you end up with numerous heresies and errors and a retelling of history. All of these different things are red flags. So when you look at the church over the last 1,000 years, Roman Catholic and Orthodox, and you walk into an Orthodox church today, does it look like the church 1,000 years ago? Are people dressed modestly? Are the services long? Do we receive the body and blood of Christ? Do infants commune? Does the church fast? Does it pray? Is the iconography similar to that which we see in the early church? The answer to all those is yes. When you go into the average Roman Catholic church, it looks in praxis nothing like the early church, and certainly not the church of 1,000 years ago even. This shows you the only reason that Orthodoxy has preserved itself to this day is not because we have tens and hundreds and thousands of Orthodox Christians who are all perfectly in the best Christians. No. It shows you, it's a testimony to the power of the Holy Spirit that we've been able to maintain the faith as it was handed on to us from the church fathers in continuity with their spirit, with their teaching, their ethos, and most importantly, their way of life. Orthodoxy today is the same as what we see in the early church. I challenge anyone who hasn't been to a divine liturgy, go and see the liturgy, watch the services, and tell me that you're not transported back in time. The liturgy is mystical. It is beautiful. It is the presence of God. And the life in the Orthodox Church heals the human soul and renews their relationship with God. God bless you.